Well, I just have been watching a good bit of videos on the internet about the immigration thing with the daycare centers. I live in Northeast Ohio, and let me just put it this way. A lot of the time, I worked for Uber for a little while, probably the better part of a year and a half, 2 years. Okay? Have about, I don't know, 3,000 rides, that I've given. There were some that worked in factories or whatever. Okay? Couple of them, the immigrants I'm talking about. But most of the time, if I were to go to Walmart, Target, CVS, just normal stores, most of the time I'm picking up somebody that I presume is a foreigner that is generally on the phone with somebody speaking a different language. And then if I ask them anything, the accent and language barrier is really rough. And then they will get on their phone and do some type of translation. I'm like, oh, okay. I did find one or two that was pretty open that I could talk to about things. And the things that I did discover were pretty, really strange to me. They said they would get Uber vouchers from organizations and or the government. They did have food cards. They did have housing. There were a concerning amount that I would pick up in these really nice neighborhoods with decent housing. Like, really a lot better than what I got. Mine's POS, but theirs were way better. Like, suburbs nice, okay? Probably 1,800, 2,000 square feet, 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, 2-bath houses, something like that. But the weird thing is, on most of them, I never seen a car in the driveway. Here's another thing. I picked them up around where I'm at, and they would be going to a bank that is about 40 miles north. And most of them would go pretty much to the same bank, which is really weird. Because I'm just like, isn't there another branch in Canton? I thought there was. Maybe, I can't remember the bank, but I was like, oh, I've been here before. I've been here before. And I was just like, oh no, I've been here before. I can't remember the exact name of the bank, but they would go to this bank. It was really far. And then the ride was like $40, $50. I think they got it paid for or whatever, but and then wouldn't see them again. It's just really, really weird. They all have really nice places to live. While I'm fucked and working hard. And I was watching Asmongold's video about these things. If you think that the only thing that is going on is the daycare center thing, no. You might want to start checking into college loans. Yeah, look into some of that too. Because there's a whole lot of that going on as well. People that aren't even going into college will get all these loans and whatever else, and then use all that money. I don't know what the hell the ins and outs is for that, but there's that type of stuff going on. The medical field, the healthcare stuff, yep, they pretty much started on covering that. I mean, there's so much more going on in this country than just that. And this is just on the immigration side. There's other things going on that I can't really put my finger on. Like, you know, not saying I'm the best person or whatever, but I'm not a great person, okay? I dibbled and dabbled, got a little hooked on some narcotics and stuff like that. Whatever. Done with that chapter now. Moving on. I fell onto hard times. I asked my local government for a little bit of help because, yeah, bad shit, you know? And, I went in to this place to get, like, food stamps and assistance and whatever else from our local government, and they told me to all go fuck myself. And, like, I was listening, like, I was in a bay, there was this other lady that was in a bay, we were pretty much right side by side, and I was, like, noticing, crazily, like, in my head, I didn't say anything out loud, I probably should have, but in my head, I'm just like, wow, these are, like, polarizing questions compared to what this other person's talking to this other person about. Like, this person was like, okay, I need like verifiable, like, bank statements showing if there was any type of income coming in. I need this, that, whatever, some bills, whatever the fuck, everything. And I know there are certain circumstances. Maybe the other person didn't have a place in which they lived, you know? Maybe whatever, I don't know. But I'm just like, this lady is fucking pounding me for every fucking thing. Anything and everything you could potentially get disqualified for. And then the other lady got accepted, I got denied. I'm like, wow. I asked my mom, because I was like, hey, I got this, and this going on. Would I qualify? Because she's older, she's got Social Security, whatever else. I understand there's a lot of things different there too. But, and she was like, oh yeah, you know, your brother, you know, when he was still around, definitely qualified for this, and this. Let's get you set up with an appointment. You will, hands down, easily qualify. After having the conversation with them, and not qualifying, I called my mom and told her I was denied. And she's like, what? She didn't believe it until I sent her a couple days later, I sent her the denial letter. And I'm just like, what does that say right there? Denied. She's like, that's fucking wild. And I'm like, huh, you really think so? I'm like, and you know, I've watched a lot of other videos of people being like, oh, well, I'm this race, and I'm this age, and I'm this, and, you know, I get discriminated against, and whatever else. Maybe there's something to it, I don't know. Because, like, it seems like any time I ever ask, and mind you, like, you know, 2 years ago, I paid, like, $49,000 in taxes. I'm just saying, like, just a little bit of fucking help would be helpful. Right now, just for the next probably 2 or 3 months. Until I can get my shit together. You know what I mean? Nah, I don't qualify. Fucking crazy. And not only that, but, you know, that was just 1 year. The years going up to that, maybe just a little bit less. Because I was making a little bit less money. But for 2 years, I know I was making over $100K and they were taking half. So, dude, that's pretty much $100K in just those 2 years. And then previous to that, I was working 74, 86 hours fucking week, and you know what I mean? Like, making a little bit less money, but shit, they were still bend it. They were doing this whole thing. They were like, "Hey, buddy, get over here." You know what I mean? That's what the fucking government was doing to me. I don't know about y'all, but she was sending her a little hard, but anyways, yeah, I would argue in the last, 12, 13 years or however long I've been working, I have definitely put in a good bit of money. Just me solo, small person, whatever. I can't get any help. And it's really frustrating because I watch all these other people that just, "Oh, I'm going to send you my vote," or whatever, and boom, they get anything and everything they want. I'm working on getting, what is that, like, studied mentally or whatever, to where they could be like, "Hey, you're just normal. And, you have a lot of trauma to work through from your past, and you should be alright." Either that or, my brother was schizophrenic, bipolar, and I believe, I go through a lot of the similar things, but that's neither here nor there. We thought exactly 100% alike at the same time about everything. And, watching him not make it through all the craziness really fucked me up, but here I am. Yeah, so I can't get help. Now, if I was to go in and get, medically evaluated mentally, and then they say, "Hey, yeah, you have some issues," then they'd be like, "Sir, yeah, no problem, here you go." And probably not even ask me about my credit score or whatever the fuck that all those people at the Job and Family Services were asking me, asking what my job qualifications were and, past work references, histories, all this other shit. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it was very polarizing what on one side was going on and the other. That is the truth. And it could. I don't want to play the victim card or whatever and be like, "Oh, well, I'm a straight white male and I was no." Probably wasn't that. It was probably, "Hey, this guy looks like a normal dude," or whatever. Maybe. And I just got the shit beat out of me until I could pretty much act normal. And I got decent at it over time. Couple, pretty much 2 decades. So, I mean, it is what it is. I can act normal. I can put a normal thought together, but that doesn't mean that everything going on inside here isn't way different than what's going on inside that thing you got, maybe, that you're white. Maybe you are like me, who knows? And, yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to act like any type of fucking victim here, at all. But, I'm just saying, if we continue all this bullshit, and we allow all these things to happen, where are we going to be in the next 5 to 10? You know what I mean? And I really think that after a while, maybe at the end of this presidency, or the next one, not 100% sure, but I think they really are going to try to put some numbers together, some graphs, and have some smart people like Elon, the electronic lawn. He's a little musky up there, speaking about stuff, and though everybody will be like, "Oh, he's a trillionaire. He's the smartest guy in the world," or so they say. So we must listen to him, and implement artificial intelligence to be our leaders, with the same people pulling the strings, telling them how to implement it into the artificial intelligence to relinquish accountability for them fucking the people over, which is us. I will have to say something. Compared to some places here in America, we do have it pretty good. Okay. I know that. That's okay. I'm fine with that. It should be better. It really should. Everybody, in comparison, should be making like $150 to $200 an hour. Right now. Like, and that should be pretty much federal minimum compared to what all these other people had access to back in the day. Now, because of greed and ego, we are now currently, if you're making $30 an hour, you are currently making federal minimum wage. Back in 2009 to probably 2010 or 12 or somewhere around there. That's what you're making. If you're making $30 an hour, you are making $7.25. You should be making like $150 to $200 every single hour. I have a family member that probably makes about that, and he does live a little better than me and everything, you know. He has a couple kids and whatever else. And he ain't doing the hottest. But if he was to like go back in the day and make a little bit less money like he was, he lived pretty freaking good. I'm telling you, making a lot less money. So essentially, he's did the same thing I did. Leveled up a whole bunch, like me at Wendy's, making federal minimum, going up to like a pretty decent, you know, mechanical job and stuff, making over 31 an hour, stuff like that. That's, you know, I'm small scale or whatever. I'm too stupid to put it all together, I think. But he worked as like a pulling cable, you know, labor job type deal, and got all the way up in information technology, and then became like a project manager and all this other stuff, and now he's one of the big boys over there. And you guessed it, they've been stealing your money from you, paying you less and less without you realizing it. And it's just going to keep on continuing to get worse. Why do you think, if you sit here and Google, let me do just a couple things. I know not a lot of places still do this, but let me do this. What does that say? Right here. 7.25 per hour. Since 2009, all the way up until it's 2026, and it's still 7.25 per hour. What can you get for $7.25 nowadays? Maybe like a loaf of bread, a little bit of tuna, and maybe some mac and cheese. I don't know. Back in the day, for $7.25, you could actually get some shit. I remember bringing $10 to the store when I was like 18, 19 years old, and I was like, I'm going to try to eat off of this for a week. And I succeeded. I mean, it was like bananas, rice, beans, rice, chicken, bananas type deal. But I ate pretty decently. Now, granted, I still had, you know, like some spices and some stuff to add into it from the fridge or whatever. Nothing crazy or much, but 95% of my diet was that $10 worth of groceries. Can you pull off eating for $10 without having the fucking mud butt every single day now? You may get a day, maybe two. Maybe two. And if you, you'll probably lose a little bit of weight. You could probably do it. You probably just lose a little bit of weight. You're not going to get any calories in. what I'm trying to get at is, I mean, even even if you made the $30 an hour, right now, could you eat off of a week for 30? You know what I mean? Good luck. You may get 3 or 4 of those days, maybe. I don't know. Really don't know. It'd be something interesting to watch. I mean, potentially you could, maybe. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you probably could. You could probably get about the same things that I did, like, a pound or two of chicken. That'd be cutting it close. Maybe a pound of chicken, a whole bunch of rice, good bit of rice, maybe some beans, and some bananas. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the $30 is the $7.25. So if you're like working, I don't know what Walmart pays, but I assume somewhere around like 15 to 20. You're being paid less than minimum wage than that of 2009. And who's to blame? I really don't know, but I know one thing that's not helping, which is all this backdoor shit that's going on in our country. Because essentially what you're having is, which is us, a class of working people, supporting all these other people that are doing a whole bunch of shady shit. A smaller group of people doing a whole bunch of shady shit, which is all borderline illegal and or could be illegal. And that's why your life is getting so much harder. It's all greed and it's all ego. Because these companies have normalized, hey, if Joe Schmo doesn't work out for $9 an hour or whatever, they're going to give you as small amount as possible. We will find somebody that will work it. And more than likely, it's going to be one of these immigrant people. Because when you have somebody, you need... Nobody's going to like what I'm going to have to say, but it's the truth. You need people like me in this world. Somebody that grew up dirt fucking poor in terrible ass neighborhoods surrounded by terrible fucking people. When you're subject to all this freaking violence, to all these crazy things, all these crazy ass things, you start to normalize, some pretty profound things. And then when somebody tells you, hey, for $8 or $9 an hour, go down into this basement and just break up this concrete and carry up the buckets, I'll look at that and be like, okay, and then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to get tired, but I'm going to continue to do it, and 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 do it. And then I'm going to go home that night, and I am going to partake in extracurricular activities and get so wildly messed up that I just fall asleep, and then I wake up and I go do it again. Okay? You need people like that. Seriously. And that's why they're influxing all these other people. If you think you told a million or a billionaire's son that grew up with white cotton gloves on and a silver spoon to go do that shit, do you think he would do it? He'd tell you to go fuck yourself. That's what he would tell you to do. That's why you need people like me and the Somalians or whoever immigrants, because they grew up in areas like I grew up, so they are more likely willing to do the stuff nobody else wants to do, because they've already normalized such terrible conditions and hardships in their life that it's nothing but another fucking day to go through these terrible work sites conditions, hazardous fucking, atmospheres and whatever else, and being subject to narcissistic sociopaths that they subject to leadership. It's just how it is. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just telling you shit that I've subjectively seen in this world through my own eyes and whatever, the perceptions, whatever, like taste, smell, I don't even know. See, sometimes I just can't fucking think. But, and as long as we have that type of stuff going on, they're going to be like, well, these companies can continue to exist. My question is if you have a company that can't pay a person a livable wage or hire a American citizen, should that company still be an operational, should it still be a company making money off of suppressing other people further into strife? Probably not, with CEOs making multi-million dollars. Should these companies be open at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and never see any kids and receive millions of dollars in funding annually? Probably not, right? So, Amazon, I don't know, how much, let's see, kind of go like that, maybe that, go over here. How much did Amazon make in 2025? Oh, can you see that? 670 billion, so 670, okay? How many employees does Amazon have? 1.5, we'll put it 1.6 million. So, where's the math? Oh, I did that wrong. 670 billion divided by 1.6 million, right? What do you see there? Now, no, hold on. For the CEO still in operational costs and everything else, let's just say the 300,000 of that needs to go to like operational cost and the CEO's pocket and assets and whatever else. 300,000 of that. You can still afford to pay every single employee there an extra $100,000. You know what I mean? That would be a little. They're probably making like 45, 50. So they should be making about, let's just say, that amount of money every year for a livable wage. And I guarantee Amazon still brings in, I don't know, let's say a good 200 mil or 200 bill out of that 600 billion. You know what I mean? Everybody wins in that. You know what I mean? The worker. When I was Ubering, another thing that I've seen a lot are these younger individuals, maybe my age, a little bit younger. I'm 31. I would pick them up from some crazy shady motel room. So I'm like, oh, this person's gonna go buy some drugs or something. And then they would pull out of their backpack a safety vest. And I'm like, what the fuck? you work construction? Are you just like an out of towner just trying to save your per diem? Because, hey, I've been there. And they were like, no, I'm going to work at Amazon. And I'm like, oh, okay. And they would stay at these little cheap hotels, like as cheap as humanly possible, like $350 a week or so. And they would just stay there because they can't afford last month's rent, security deposit, whatever deposit for electricity, all that shit, plus furniture, just to get a place to live now, like an apartment. And it all makes sense, and I'm like, oh, and they can't afford a down payment on a car, and a $700 a month car note with $500 insurance monthly cost, and all this other crazy ass shit. They just have a cell phone, and they live in a motel. They got internet on their cell phone or free Wi-Fi from the motel, whatever. And that's it. And that's how they're making it. And then they're spending pretty much all the rest of their money on food and Uber rides to get to and from. On their $30, $40, whatever $1,000 a year salary. But if they were making this, which I know Amazon can afford, right there, that number, how much better do you think they'd be? They'd probably be able to get their credit score up. They'd be able to afford to save up a little bit of money. Maybe they'd be able to afford to, I don't know, buy a house. Because if you break this down, and I know it's not all, but if you're making this, okay, we're going to cut it in half, 75K, because the government's going to take half. Now, you're saying, oh, how? Well, you're going to have property taxes, licensing, registration for vehicles or whatever, any type of licensing, permitting. You're going to have income tax. You're going to have capital gains tax. You're going to have every type of tax, property tax. You're going to have every type of tax you could think of, sales tax. So they're taking half. Shut the fuck up. They're taking half. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, you break that down. You divide that by 12. Okay, that's what you're bringing in a month, and then you divide that by 4. You're bringing $1,500 a week in. Can you do something with that? Probably. I know I could. That's a livable wage. Even with the government. You know what I mean? So, that's a livable wage, baby. Should every company... I looked at job proposals on a certain company I worked at. Okay? Let me do some math real quick. There really shouldn't be any math because in the proposal it said that the person that we're contracting for is going to pay for all of the consumables, all the gas, the hotel expenses, the per diem, everything. Transport, whatever. So, whatever. And then in that, it's like, hey, gotta go back one. That's what I would make this company a day. Just a day. And a lot of times that was like a solo job. Right there. Be there for like a week or so. Somewhere around there. 5 days maybe. But it just still, it's whenever I could get it done, safely and whatever is possible without messing anything up. So about 5 days, So we'll take that, times 5. That's what I'm making them in that little week. Plus they would have them lined up back to back to back to back where I would take the same shit and then just go drive over here, get a hotel, reset or whatever, and then just continue. But that's neither here nor there. So, making them that in 5 days, what do I receive out of that? Well, I think it was about 28 or something like that. And then generally it'd be about 12 hours a day. Whether, like, I was driving, to and from the site longer, or 10 hours, and then driving, or 12 hours. It averaged about 12 hours a day. So, times 12 equals times 5 equals, okay. And then, I'm not going to get up and hump my chair again, but then you got them doing that. So about that's on average, if I had a pretty slow week, that's what I would receive. Plus I, got per diem and whatever else, but so let's just call that $2,000 even with them and everything else. I don't know how I got here. Minus. It's pretty much all profit. Just saying. 5 days. So, let's say that's what I made. I personally, just me, by myself, made that company in a week. Now we're going to multiply that times 4. And then we're going to multiply that times 12. How much money do you think I made them? Probably more than that. In a year. I would comfortably say. I know for a fact I made them more than that in a year. How much do you think I got to live off of? It's a good question. Well, about here-ish. You gotta remember a little bit of that going on. Yep, dog's getting excited now. He might come up and fucking mount me. Who knows? So, cut it in half, baby. You get your 60,000. If you're lucky. And then, you divide that by 12. And then you divide that by 4. Boom. There you go. It was more than that. I probably made more than 120, but it is what it is. Every week. And then, little perks that they can't, like per diem and stuff, which they can't legally take taxes out of. So that would be like $47 a day. And I would say I was at this house maybe 8 hours out of a month. So we'll give it 300 days. That'd be an extra icing on top right there. Plus there was like little tiny bonuses here and there, like nothing crazy, but you call it another 20 on it. But out of the 5 million, probably more, 6, 7, 8, I get, let's call it $150,000. I don't know how to do the math on this, but if you take 5 million times, wait, I think you take the smaller one, 150, and then you divide it. Oh shit. Divided by, what are we doing? 150 divided by, there we go. I made 3%. 3%. I would call it more like 1%. Crazy, isn't it? Out of the money that I made them, I'm getting 1 to 3%. Shouldn't there be some type of law? I'm just throwing ideas out here. Just thinking common sense shit. Shouldn't there be some type of law? Hey, got an idea. The government sales tax us 8%. We tax the company 8%. So let's call it that 5 million times 0.08 equals, that's a better number. Like that? 8%. Would you work for that? Just what one solo person makes a company. Take a percentage. They do it in sales sometimes. I know salesmen that get a good 5-6%. I know one job I did at BP Husky in Toledo, Ohio was 2.8, and then multiply that by 0.0, I think it was 5% or something like that. That's what he made in the 3 months that we were there. One person. That's what I made all year, busting my ass, almost 100 hours every fucking week. He made that in 3 months sitting on his ass. Which gets me into like another thing. If I wasn't doing the things that I was doing, somebody else, I guarantee, has taken my spot because I quit doing the things that I was doing. A lot of people wouldn't have, certain types of oils or manufactured items, car parts. It goes all over the field in what I was doing. I don't want to dox any company or talk bad about them, but just saying, somebody's got to do it. And if we're not settling, maybe we could hit them with 10, let them talk us down to 5. Still, 5%, let's call it the 5 million I made them, times 0.05 equals, I could live off that, easy. I could live off the 140. Do I want to work 100 hours a week and never see anybody and fucking diminish my mental health and physical health for it? No. I should be able to work 40 hours a fucking week and be able to see at minimum this number. What's that going to do to everybody else? What's that going to do to everyone? You got to think of the billion and trillionaires, though. They won't be able to buy a yacht every other fucking day. Look at the people in Dubai. I'm pretty sure, confidently saying, that is the most wealthy country in the world. Statistically, I believe. Where the most wealthy people live. Now, there are some, I don't know about all this wealthy stuff, but do you see bread costing a rack over there? No. They want to tell you these types of things to scare you into accepting that, hey, I'm tired of this touching my fucking forehead. Into accepting, oh, I shouldn't make this amount of money, otherwise bread's going to be $100 and I'm going to be even more poor than I am now. Just by living the last 10 years and them giving you 2%. Look. Let me do some more math, okay? Let's say I'm going to give you examples in which $13 an hour, okay? Oh, we're going to adjust for inflation, okay? Remember what I told you? $30 is the new $7.25 an hour, okay? Now hold on. Say I stayed at this company and they paid me 4% raise every year. This was back in 2013. So, like 13 years ago, okay? So we're just going to do some simple math here. That's 52 cents. So, 13, wait. We're doing 23%. Wait, we're doing 4 times 13. What is that? 4 times 13 equals, that's 52%, okay? Bear with me here. Or wait. Sorry. 13 times 0.52 equals... What? Where am I getting these numbers? 13 times 0.52 equals $6 plus the $13 I started on. That's double the inflation. Why is that still not even $31 an hour or $30 an hour? That's how they get you. Because if you stayed at that company for 13 years making a 4% increase, which is twice as much as the inflation, that's what they're going to tell you, you are still getting fucked. So what would we need? I'm not pressing that one ever again. What would we need? Let's go 7%. 7 times 13 equals 91. So 13 times 0.91 equals plus 13 equals, not even there yet. You're going to need like a 10% raise every year. 13 times 1.30 equals plus 13 equals. That's to keep minimum wage. You need 10% increase annually to keep standardized minimum wages from statistical data based on 2009 forward. Okay? Because in 2009, when this was implemented, that was for you to be able to have a livable wage, which you pretty much could live on it if you budgeted right at that point. It's still the same in 2026, by the way. This is what I don't know how to break this. I went through all this, okay? Subjectively, I went through all this. So I know what it's been because I had to quit my jobs and get a different job because I was living lesser and lesser and wasn't able to make my fucking bills meet. And or I had to work insane hours just to be able to live. Are you understanding and comprehending? This $30 an hour right now is what I would need to survive. That 1.3, I used to use that. I'm not sure if that's still applicable. But that's about what they would take out in taxes-ish. If you're not, this is on just the 40. If you're doing like 50 or 60, it's different math. But on the 40, this should be in the ballpark-ish. And a lower number, yeah, like 30 or whatever, yeah, it should be around that-ish. Probably more like 800 or so. Maybe 850. Somewhere around there. But an 850 times 4 equals, that's what I would need to make it. Like, and this is not, this is like buying great value every day type deal and whatever else. What I'm trying to get at here is the reason that all this is going on is because all of us are just laying down and taking it. Let me give you an example. You're this chair. The government comes in, gives you one of those good olds, okay? And you just sit there like this chair is right now after what just happened, and then the government will come sit on your neck like I am this chair and suppress you Okay? And as long as you just sit there and let a dumb fuck like what I symbolize right now, which is the federal government, do what I'm doing, all this shit will continue to happen. To you, me, my kids, my dog. It affects everybody. Because there is just nothing but greed going on. Now, you might ask, how do you fix this? I don't have the answer to that. There's multiple different ways you can go about it. Number one is you can start with yourself. Seriously, start with yourself. Change is not comfortable by any means. Okay? What it might take right now and what it's going to take later are going to be two completely different things, in my opinion. Okay? Because maybe what goes on right now, you might not have to lose every single thing, including your own life, to be able to circumvent some of these things and implement some type of change. Alright? Now, later on, that's going to be a little bit different. Hope you pick up what I put down. Not trying to get banned today. But, yeah. And if it's not going to be you that does it, who's it going to be? It's going to be your children or their children that are going to have to do these things. And what I believe the thing is that we're going to have to do is unite. Something so fucking easy, baby. Pretty damn easy, ain't it? Get along. Pretty easy, ain't it? Say hi to your neighbor. It's easy. Have a conversation. Tell them, hey, have your fucking property taxes went up 300 and something % in the last 2-3 years? They'll be like, well, golly gee, yeah. And then ask them how it makes them feel, and you might come to the same conclusion that y'all both feel the same fucking way. Pretty crazy, ain't it? They've propagated things through social media, television, if you will. Fucking Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. To make you think that all these other people hate you. Because of identity politics. Because of your ethnicity. Because of your sexual orientation. Because of your socioeconomic class. Because of your whatever, your beard hair. Well, look at mine. I haven't showered in a couple of days. I woke up and my shit was like all fucking, who cares? Who cares? This is real, baby. This all day long, real. I ain't putting no fucking foundation on, you know, like, none of that. No, I'm not gonna get like Candace Owen, get some software beauty face plus 2 pounds of foundation on, and some designer clothes. I got a fire arc resistant fucking shirt right here for you, bud. And a cheap ass on microphone with a cheap ass computer and cheap ass headset. Just talking to the internet. But what everybody's got to do is come together. When everybody comes together, the second thing you need to start doing is you need to start fucking bitching. Yeah, pretty easy, ain't it? Same thing I'm doing right here, baby. Just start bitching. I don't give a fuck if it's about 1-ply toilet paper. I don't give a fuck if it's about your baby mama. You complain about your taxes. Tell them, fuck you, you ain't getting it. And if I'm one unit and you're one unit, and we put two units together bitching about the same thing, and we get this many more, and then they get their friends, which is, I'm not going to put my feet up here for the toes, because somebody will probably sell it and make a profit anyway. And then eventually you have this big-ass skyscraper of motherfuckers coming at, you guessed it, a small group of people. And how do you think that's going to make them feel? Probably not pretty fucking good. Especially if y'all are all bitching about the same thing. It's very easy. I'm telling you, it's very easy to fix this. And then eventually, guess what? They're either going to lose sleep. They're not going to feel so popular and special. Their ego's going to get a little bit smaller. And their narcissism's going to kick in, and they're going to want to be really liked again. And that's going to maybe, more than likely, implement some type of change on their end. Now, if it doesn't, this is where things get a little spicy. And I don't really want to be the one to say it, but it's probably what everybody's thinking, you know. Might have to open up a can of whoop ass on them. That can come in various different ways. You know, you can get the pop top style, or you could, like, I don't know, I wear like a size 9.5. You know, buy yourself, treat yourself, get yourself a pair of steel toe Timberlands. Shove it right up their fucking ass. Alright? Hey, I'm just saying, you know, there's only, when somebody gets hungry, they do what? They eat. Why? Because they feel uncomfortable. I got a tater chip over here. I was going to eat it, but it'd be too crunchy probably. What is the number one motivator in the world? In my opinion, I think it would be something along the lines of fear. Now, that's why they propagate the things they do, I believe. Because, hey, if you don't pay your property taxes, guess what's going to happen? A guy with a gun is going to show up at your house, or multiple, probably, with multiple firearms. Cruisers, SWAT teams, whatever. It depends on how far you're wanting to go. If you tell them something along the lines of, fuck you, probably the SWAT team, the latter. And if that gets bad enough, look at Ruby Ridge. Just saying. You seen how well they handled that one. But I know those are two different things, but if you don't pay your property taxes, that will happen. Inevitably. Somebody's going to tell you to get out of that house because you don't really own it. Anyways, they are going to project violence onto you as a maneuver of using fear. Hold on here. Let me just get a thought process out. Why is it that when you, let's say, you owe the federal government money, okay? You don't have the money right now, okay? They will charge you a fee of interest or whatever flat fee. I don't know how the hell they do it, but one of the ways they'll do it. And then it'll accrue over time until you pay them a substantially larger amount of money. Okay? If that you owe them. So why isn't it when they owe you money, you can only get it in little increments such as Social Security or whatever, or if they get overzealous with the income tax or whatever and something gets all shoddy and they're late getting it to you, how come you don't charge them interest? Because you have no type of fear to implement, no leverage on them. You see what I'm saying? So if they're going to project violence onto you and enfearment of prison, why is it that you can't do that to them? Because in the Constitution, it's something about right to bear arms, all this other shit was implemented so that we didn't get this type of way. And now we've evolved into this grotesque, disingenuous parasite of a fucking government, in my opinion. And there are millions, hundreds of millions of people suffering because of all this shit that's going on. Well, the government can't do all this type of work right now to fix it. They've been doing this shit since before I was born, which gave them over 3 decades to start fixing something. See what I'm saying? What are we doing? You want to go to work every single day for the less than federal minimum wage. I would say 80 or 90% of all of us are making what is less than... You don't even have a quarter of the buying power. Whether it's with these phony-ass fucking credit scoring systems or whatever else they've implemented over the last 3-4 decades. You don't even have a quarter of the buying power. Your parents did. I don't even have a quarter of the buying power I did when I was 18 years old. I walked out of a fucking car, I think it was CarMax, with damn near a brand new car. $0 down. Just drove it off the fucking lot. Can you do that now? Can I do that nowadays? Fuck no. Hell no. Hell no. The fuck? No. No, not a thing. Not a thing. At least for me. Can't ever do that again. Nope. I don't even know if you have like a really good credit score. You might be able to if you're pulling like an 800 and you got proof of income that's pretty decent. You might be able to, maybe, but anymore, this shit's fucked, dude. This ain't what it was. Not only that, but like all the stuff you could buy and consume is just so much shittier. So much shittier. God, man. So shitty. I don't know. I don't know the answers to everything, but all I do know is if we start with the first thing, which is all coming together and shaking hands and being like, I'm an American, you're an American, we gotta fix this shit now, not later. Not later. This is just like I spent 3 years of my life doing drugs. Because I was like, I could deal with that later. I did a couple of things. One, it deteriorated my body even more. Two, going through the withdrawals was a lot worse because not only was I on the substance longer, but I also got older and I deteriorated my body. So the longer we let this shit fucking manifest, the worse it's gonna be. And I told myself something very important that day that I quit. I said, if there's any time, it's now. What's it gonna benefit me later? Putting it off. The only thing it's gonna do is benefit me, because that's, let's say I was to dose in another 2 hours, that's another 2 hours later that I'm going to feel better, in the long run. Don't you want to have, that, let's say you're making them 300 million or 3 million a year. And we average it out to 0.08%. Wouldn't you like that? Legally, they have to give you that. And then, maybe there's another thing. Over the whole year, 10%. Oops. 240 times 0.1 equals 24,000. So 240 minus 24,000. You take that home. You divide that by 12. That's what you're making a month. Can you live off that? See what I'm saying? And this right here, what I'm showing, there's another dimension to this thought process, because everybody's like, oh well, if we do like universal basic or whatever. No, that's why you take a percent of what you make the company. So whatever you're putting into it, you're going to get out of it, as well as them and all this other shit. If you want that fucking easy ass job to where you're only making them 100,000, or let's say you're making them 800K a year times 0.08 equals, you're getting that, which still really isn't that bad. Like, you're basically probably going to not be doing much in that job. And then you multiply that by 0.1 equals, it's going to be 64. So you're going to bring home like 50 something thousand. See what I'm saying? And then not only could we implement this real easy. It's real easy. It's called put it into motherfucking law, bitch. And you'll see how many of these companies are fucking scamming. Real quick. Oh yeah. Because the people will be they'll have money if you implement this. Oh, well, the companies will go, let them fucking go under. Who cares? Let them go under. Fuck them. They're not paying that motherfucker a livable wage anyway. Let them go under. Fuck them. They don't need to be here. They don't need to be here. Nope. And not only this, but your companies would be fucking thriving. Because people would have money. Government, shrink a little bit. Be less oppressive. The United States would be so much fucking better. Just with this stupid ass idea. Promise. Whatever somebody wants to tell you and lie to you about, tell them, go fuck yourself. Don't you want to see numbers like these? Put in a little bit of hard work, get a shit ton of money. Money's not the answer to everything. So, I'm just saying, like, something as simple as that. Not only this, to have somebody represent you, get that shit the fuck out of here. Get that shit gotta go. Gone. Gay, gone. Done. Dumb. Gay. Whatever you want to call it. Probably gonna fucking get banned now. Who cares? Imagine this is like a video game. Okay? We can go, this is just an example. Oop. Sorry, my internet's a little slow. Let me do this real quick. Let me, yeah, there we go. Sure. They have, nope. Huh. I thought they would have had it on the thing. They used to back in the day. But what this game would do is if they wanted to implement like a new like good ideas such as like a new skill or some new armor or some new bosses, they would just put up there like a couple of different ideas they had. And then the whole community will vote on it, okay? Let me do a couple things. I know I'm not real good at all this stuff, but the whole community would vote on it. And if it didn't at least get 70%, they would just trash it. Meaning, it would be better for at least the majority of the community. And anything they implemented, changed, or added. You think we could set up a system like that for we the people? With all the technology and shit we have nowadays. Think of it like, you know how they do the cryptocurrency and stuff? You can go through those data miners and whatever else, like encrypted and you could set up votes that way, right? Would that be hard? Somebody smarter than me could probably tell me if it would be feasible or not. And to just put some, since it's all encrypted, I think, you know, just put some basic information such as like, you know, your driver's license. I mean, we're gonna have fucking this real ID shit probably anyway, you know. I don't know. Maybe fucking take a vote on it. Goddamn, like, be like, hey, you know, would y'all rather have some corrupt motherfucker representing you, or would you rather directly vote for so-and-so issue that's going on in the United States, which you can decide if it affects you or not. Rather than lobbying all these people with millions and billions and trillions of dollars. I'm just saying. I mean, these are simple. These can be tweaked so much to where it would be so much better. But these are just simple common sense things that my dumb ass can think of. And you're telling me that we've had, like, you know, Biden in there fucking off. And Trump, let me tell you something. When Trump first got in there, I was probably one of them. Dude, for like a week straight, nothing could really upset me. It's just how I felt. Nothing really upset. I was happy. I was like, dude, I'm gonna be tired of winning. There's gonna be some change. And I would argue I'm no better off then than I am now. I might be even worse, honestly. If you want me to be transparent. And not everything that he did is going to take effect immediately. Such as no regulation, no restrictions, no whatever on artificial intelligence over the next decade. That one, why is that in there? Why do you think RAM prices went up 700 fucking whatever? I think percent, something crazy. It's probably more than that, who knows? I have 64 gigabytes DDR5 RGB RAM. Let's look that up real quick. Corsair, I'm probably going to spell this wrong. DDR5, 64 gigabytes RAM. RGB. You see those numbers? See, you know what I paid for mine? I think it was like $98, $99, $98. That's, do the math. 10x, 1000%, something like that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What are we doing? Assets. Anybody that has assets, the only people that have assets really are the people that are doing all the dirty. I mean, I've been trying to figure out for the better part of, even about 2 decades now, when I started understanding and looking at stuff, why all the bad, evil people are successful. And through all the thought processes and patterns and everybody that I've asked, looking outside of the box and a different perspective than I have, I can only come up to one conclusion. Those people are willing to fuck everybody over. That's why they're so successful. They're willing to fuck everybody over. The more money you have, the more people that you fucked over. A lot of these people reselling, they're probably getting these off the street, especially like the used ones right here. They're probably getting these for like $100 off of just PC builds that they get off Craigslist or something. Boom. Oh, I can make like 500 real quick off this. Sell the other parts, decent profits, whatever. Scalping, Pokemon cards example, shoes, PS5s when they came out, resellers, that game that I just pulled up, RuneScape, I used to play that game. This was way back in the day, like 2008 to 2013 or so. And I had millions and millions and hundreds of millions of coins. Why? Because I figured out simple economics through it. I figured, hey, I could buy, just example, a rune set over here at this certain bank, and then I could go over to this higher level area where these other people are that presumably have more coins and go and resell it. And what do you think I did? I bought a low area, sold at a high area. And I did that over and over and over and over until I could get to the next stepping stone, which was like dragon armor. And then I would do that, and then I would go up to like Barrow's armor, if you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter because they're just steps up above one another. And then the higher the price of that item is, the more variables you can have in it. Which is why a lot of people like to get into selling houses, real estate. That's the word. Because there's big margins. The more something costs, the greater the margin generally you could put on it. Like a hot dog, somebody's not going to pay an extra $500 for a hot dog. But for a car, somebody will probably pay an extra $500 for a car. You see what I'm saying? And that's like I started with the hot dog, and I worked my way up to a fucking penthouse. And I was selling high value items, 36 million, 50 million. at a time with margins of over, every single time I would sell one, 500K at minimum. Like, I wouldn't mess around with something unless I was for sure, absolutely, oh, I'm going to make a mil or, at least 500K. I'm going to waste $1,000 rune to teleport over there to make less than a mil? In my time? Nah, I ain't doing that. You see what I'm saying? And that kind of wraps back around to you need cockroaches like me, because somebody that's, making all this money, and I was ripping people the fuck off. And that's why I was so successful, because I didn't give up. I was like fucking 10 years old, 15 years old, somewhere in between there. I didn't give a crap about nobody. And then as I got older, I just became this. I'm rough around the edges, but I think I'm a little soft on the inside. I think I'm starting to get there. I have nothing to gain. Like, I'm not trying to lie to you. I'm not trying to manipulate anybody. I'm just giving. Somebody's got to make it. Like the content. There's people that are doers, and there's people that make the content and people that consume the content. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be the person that makes the content. And some decent content with decent thought processes. And if a lot of people start doing this type of stuff, and a lot of people are calling out the BS, and a lot of people are, enraged on the internet, guess what that's going to do? That's going to put our leaders hey, these people aren't happy. We need to implement some type of change. Because you think that you are nobody, you have no voice. In all actuality, when you go out to the streets and you use that voice and you get with other people that have the same ideas and whatever that you do, that's going to put the fear. That's going to be the biggest motivator. Yeah. Believe it or not. That's my thought process anyway. And I might have talked a whole lot, got nothing really said, but I just thought I'd make this video and maybe try to make one of them a day. See where it goes. See if anybody can correct me in my flawed way of thinking or whatever. Maybe it's all flawed. But, I just seen a clip of Destiny the other day. I forget. Oh, he said Zoomers had more buying power than the Boomers did. And I couldn't stop. I'm sorry. I couldn't stop laughing. It was the funniest fucking thing I've seen in like a week. I almost shit myself laughing. Seriously. I had to shit pretty bad, and I watched, I think it was Asmongold, and he was, pulled that thing up. And I was like, oh my god. That is the most delusional, asinine thing I've ever heard in my life. That Zoomers have more buying power than the Boomers did. And then I looked up over, statistical data and everything else, and what, averages and averages. That's really all I go off of, is just averages, because 90% of the time everything's average. Most of the time it is, anyway. And I got to shit again, so I'm going to get off of here, and you have a pleasant day.